Ayodele, where do you see this all panning out? Looking at the Nigerian scenario, well, the board has received the grievances of these
Mhm.
nurses, of the aggrieved nurses, and has promised to work out something so as to, appease them. But, you worked in, I believe you worked in Nigeria before relocating abroad
Mhm.
to serve there. What do you think should be the way to go? What kind of engagement? Because even abroad, even in the UK, the nurses have also, at one point or the other, been discontent in the kind of, services, so to speak, or care or welfare that they're getting from government. So, what would you be advocating for in Nigeria?
Okay, before I say that, let me make you understand what the verification is usually needed for and what they are trying to verify. It shows that Nursing Council gave them the license to practice and they gave the certificates. So the verification simply means verify that you gave this license to practice. Verify that you gave this nurse this certificate. And the letter of good standing that the Nursing Council writes, I'm opportunity to have it here. It means that this nurse license is active and has not been suspended or revoked. So, how does verifying the same license that you gave the nurse require you going through that process? How does verifying the same license, as Nursing Council saying we can't verify that this information that we gave is correct? In UK here, they made it possible for you to verify online instantly. But Nursing Council said they don't want to do the instant process so that they can prolong the process. So they have to be using email instead of clicking on the link, fill the information and submit instantly. Now, to talk about the fact that the nurses are not happy in the UK at a point that their pay and their welfare, this is an opportunity for every organization and every professional body. Once they see an opportunity that there is something that is going on in their profession, they use the opportunity to seek for the welfare of their professionals. If the same thing is looked into, I believe this should be an opportunity for our national body in Nigeria, for nurses, to come out and say, our nurses are not happy about situations. Our nurses are willing to work. We have a lot of nurses that are looking for job opportunities. I have about 5 nurses that message me that, please, can you help me get a job in Lagos State? Imagine pleading to get a job. Meanwhile, people are saying there are shortage of nurses. I can assure you there are no shortage of nurses. We still have nurses that are being produced every year. At least about we have like 400 training institutions according to the Nursing and Midwifery Council website. So if 400 nursing institutions are producing at least 50 nurses, that is almost like 80,000 nurses that are coming out every year. So if we have 8,000 nurses every year, and we have some institutions that have been approved to provide 150 nurses, and this comes like twice a year. So we don't have shortage of nurses. We have shortage of environment for nurses to practice effectively. And we have shortage of welfare for nurses to practice effectively. A lot of nurses cannot afford to buy a car for their transportation, even up to CNO, that's Chief Nursing Officer level, except maybe their husband are rich. And if we can look at the welfare of nurses, create an environment of care that is effective for them to practice what they've learned, I'm sure nurses will be willing to stay back. I, as a person, I decided not to leave the country at a point. I remember coming on TVC and my other colleague was asking that, why are you still in Nigeria? Because I felt the environment is not so conducive for everyone everywhere. But if Nigeria as your home is okay for you, if you're able to make enough, you're able to feed your family, if you're able to live the life that's comfortable for you, a lot of nurses will not leave the country. So why are we not looking at what welfare package can we give to nurses to make them stay back? What retention package can we give to nurses to make them stay back instead of looking at a way to block them from traveling out of the country?
Well, there are so many issues that have been raised, one of which you've spoken to. The thing is, I wanted to speak to the fact that it is not out of place, or let's say it is not unusual to hear that some people who possess certain certificates have the original copy, or that the certificates are not forged. It could be one of the reasons that they want this verification to be done. That's one. And the second one is that there are about 42,000 nurses that have said to have left the shores of the country for the greener pastures. So doesn't this belie the claim that the nurses we have in the country do not have places to practice, despite the fact that we are reeling from the impact of brain drain and we don't have enough of them to attend to patients in hospitals?
Okay, let me correct that impression. 42,000 nurses, according to what the registrar said, left the country within the past 3 years is not true. I can say that the registrar does not have the information about the number of nurses that left the country. We have in the UK registration, for all the Nigerian nurses that have been in the UK, there are no more than 25,000 over the years that have been practicing in the UK. Let's talk of nurses in the US. They are not up to 10,000 that are registered as a nurse in Nigeria. Now imagine saying in the past 3 years. So we don't have the information of number of nurses that left the country in the past 3 years. What we have is number of nurses that intended to leave. This process still takes a lot of time. So definitely we are still going to have nurses working and still staying back, because it requires you writing your exam. It requires you seeking for verification in which they are delaying. It requires you waiting to get a job. We have some nurses that have written their exam and they are still looking for a job for the past 1 year outside the country. We have nurses that are looking for a job for the past 2 years outside the country. So indirectly, they are still going to be around. The only thing that requires is having the process being seamless, because there is no way nurses are going to leave the country automatically. Now, it's worrisome that nurses are leaving. Why don't we look at the fact that why are they leaving and what can we do to make them stay back, instead of saying, oh, nurses are leaving, don't let us go.